The record's called Rock and Roll Jesus, ladies and gentlemen, Kid Rock. Nice to see you, man. You too. Things are good? Great. How's life in Detroit?
Detroit's, being your neighbor to the south is just, you know, pretty much like an extension of Canada, I'd like to say.
Yeah, man, and you're back home. You actually get our show down there, which is good.
My brother's a big fan.
Oh, your brother watches the show? There you go. Nice to know. Rock and Roll Jesus, there's a lot of things. Like, we can talk about the music in a revolution. We'll talk about the thing in the relationship in a second. But Rock and Roll Jesus is a very interesting title for a record, because later on in the album, you refer to yourself as such.
Yeah.
Are you talking about yourself or somebody else?
There's a whole lot of things that come to it. That come to light when I decided on the name. One was just trying to create a rock and roll revival of just great blues music, trying to fill that void of being, stepping up to the level of being a great American singer and songwriter and performer. And kind of get off the topic of, hey, I'm just Kid Rock, I like to party, and I'm a cowboy, woo, the whole thing. It's a time, too, when I think a lot of people, especially that middle voice, is not being heard in our countries, because there's so many far-left weirdos and far-right weirdos that are just pushing and pulling and tugging at each other, and all the political correctness. I think people are just kind of fed up with it. Like, can't we just find some common ground in the middle and actually get some things done and just chill out and be cool about some things? And also, I don't think whenever you throw Jesus' name out there that it's necessarily a bad thing. I think in this day and age, especially with a lot of things going on in organized religion and whatnot, that I think it's only a good thing. And the bottom line is doing this music has allowed me, no matter what people think I've done is right or wrong, it's allowed me a lot of opportunities to help out a lot of other people.
How so?
Charity work.
Yeah. Man, you went to Iraq twice, right? And well, after your recent split up, you went there for Christmas.
Yeah, I spent Christmas there last year.
And I wonder, because you had been there like early on, and then you went back several years later.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
Night and day.
Really?
First time we went big USO tour, it was kind of like, we won the war, woo!
Mission accomplished, right?
Hooray! And then the second time I went, it was completely different tone. Obviously, things are a mess there. My heart was still thinking at the time, I was just coming out of a divorce, and I was starting to see devil horns form, and I could have gone a lot of different ways, and I thought it was a really important time to just step up and do something positive. Also show my son that, to try to be as unselfish as you can at Christmas, to say we've been so fortunate and blessed that I'm going to spend Christmas away from you, no presents. I'm going to go spend it with these guys who are away from their families, these guys and girls, and just really, I think it was just a win-win for everybody. It was good for my heart. It was great to be over there with those guys at a time when nobody was really going anymore. I mean, I had it said to me over there by a higher-ranking official, who made a lot of sense to me. He goes, at the end of the day, because I said, what do you think about the war? He said, at the end of the day, we don't create diplomacy, we execute it. And I think that's so important to remember, that those guys don't really have a say in it. They just do what they're told. Certainly.
And I think that, it's an interesting position for you to be in, because you actually spend, as outspoken as you are, you do not wade into politics very often. And I wonder if at a certain point, you're a citizen, you read books, you're a smart guy. Like, do you feel like you want to get engaged in this? Because this is, your son's 14 years old, right? So he's, he's 4 years away from military age. Sort of like, it's a really interesting period in his life and your life.
I think it's, I discuss it with friends and family, but I think it's important not to try to use my platform, whether it's award shows, this, that, and the other, to try and all of a sudden speak up about my views on things that I might not be very educated in. I didn't spend a lot of years in public service, or was not a scholar of political science, which I know is a big shock to everyone here. So I just think it's important, that sometimes when I see those pulpits of people in Hollywood, jump up on this platform, which is for entertainment, to speak out and say this, that, and the other, I think you got to be very careful when you dive into those, dive into those waters.
Certainly. Well, think about award shows, man. You could either use that platform to talk about politics, or you could use it to punch out Tommy Lee. Right? You could do.
Yeah, how can you weigh that out, right?
I don't want to get too much into the gossip, but tell me, I got to ask you, because this is elephant in the room, and you're talking about it. Like, what's going on?
What's that?
What's going on? This thing here.
No, that was just, I've said it before, and I'd kind of try to move beyond. That was just a lot of years of disrespect and inappropriate things directed towards me. I always tried to take the higher road, because there were kids involved, and, speak highly of them to his kids, no matter what I felt. And at that point, there's obviously a reason why we're all three in the same room together. People knowing the history, somebody was looking for something there, a reaction. Just so people understand, the last contact that I had with this guy was when me and Pam were in our divorce. And they were at a birthday party for one of their sons, and he went into her bag and picked up her BlackBerry and started emailing me really inappropriate stuff.
You should have put a lock on that.
So at that point, I just kind of sat back. I said, you know what? You're nothing but a phone call, and I will see you again, period. I just left it at that. So then when we did the MTV thing, it was kind of like, I was having a great time, so I was trying to let it go. And And then, but when I came back from the bathroom, just pretty much sitting in my seat, I think I did the same thing that any other guy would have done. There was just, it just clicked, and there was, you know,
and there you
that
go.
was it.
And it was on. I wondered, how do you explain? Did you explain, like you're raising your son? Do you look at your son and listen? I did something. You don't want to do that, or like, because I know some dads think it's important to teach your kids, you know, how to handle conflict situations, and other parents run away from teaching their kids conflict. How do you talk to your dad, your kid about that?
Oh, I just simply told him, I was like, dude, I won.
All right, there you go. We'll move off that. What's interesting, if you take a look at you, we ran that sort of little bio in your life, and you look at your evolution, you look at this record, you got a little hip-hop in here still, but I mean, you are doing something else. You've sort of moved away from all of that stuff in the very beginning of your career, haven't you?
For the time being, yeah. Just musically, my heart wasn't in it right now. I was just really into melody and songwriting, and lyrically wanted to round out, and musically wanted to round out my catalog for the live performance to kind of, I think I've covered, you know, some of the heavier stuff and, you know, the more provocative, this, that, and the other. Not saying it's not there. I always keep that in my bag of tricks, but I just really want to step outside that and really start to dig and write things that are a little more relevant and speak with that voice that I think I could fill that void of just, you know, kind of the middle class.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you don't know a lot about Kid Rock's music, on this record there's a song that is essentially an homage to Werewolves of London by Warren Zevon and Sweet Home Alabama, Leonard Skinner on the same track. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think it speaks to where you come from musically. On this one, you have a little song here about New Orleans, but what's interesting is it's New Orleans and you have nothing to do with Hurricane Katrina.
Right. Just a homage to New Orleans. Although I did think, I finished the song after Katrina, started it before. I did think, like, when Katrina happened, I was like, God, is Fats Domino okay? Yeah. What's up with Fats? Is he all right? And so I kind of wrote it as a homage about everything I loved about New Orleans. And I've shot videos down there and been very vocal about my love. I think there's just so much culture down there. And in this day and age in the world, there's so many spots you can go to where just culture isn't prevalent like it used to be. And to be down there with the music scene and the Cajun food, you know, and the voodoo, whatever it might be, I just think is so unique. There's very few spots in the world left like that.
Well, and all the guys that got on the trains and headed north and ended up in Detroit and ended up in Chicago and Milwaukee, I mean, they all came from the South, a lot of the music, right?
Yeah, I don't know if that's interesting because there's people like Johnny Cash and John Lee Hooker who started out in the South. And essentially all these guys came to Detroit to perform and play music, and the one reason was because of the auto industry. Yeah. They could come work on the plants during the day, get out of there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and play the bars all night. So.
It's a great way to make a living, man.
Yeah, it's a good way to start.
Yes, no, absolutely. Hey, you know what? I remember one of the lyrics, even though it's well past, you know, I went platinum 7 times. Selling records right now isn't what people do. Right. It's like selling hard copy records. Radiohead just released their record a little while ago where it was Pay What You Want. Oasis are talking about doing that Pay What You Want. What do you think of that with the way the business is going for artists now, where it's the Pay What You Want as opposed to?
I don't know if that's going to be the model or the outcome. I think it's great that people are, you know, chartering new waters. It's such a big discussion. I think, I don't have my stuff on iTunes. I think it's a great system. I think the iPod's great technology. But for myself, the record industry has been screwed up for so many years. And people know the stories of how the artists always get screwed, starting back with Otis Reddings and people of that caliber that never even saw gold records that got credit or money. So there's this great opportunity with the internet to really change things and, you know, not only the consumer to get a better deal, the company to make money, and the artist to be treated more fairly. This system is in place now with the internet and all the technology. And all the record company did was implement a system that's been messed up for years and put that back into place with the internet. Okay, break down $1, 40, 50 cents to iTunes, you know, 40 cents to the record company, and oh, here we'll give the artist 7 or 8 cents. Yeah. It's the same thing.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming in, man. Rock and Roll Jesus is the name of the record. Good to see you, Kid Rock.
You too, man.
All right. Kid Rock, everybody. Rock and Roll Jesus is out there. Go pick it up. It's got a lot of different sounds on it. Lots more to come on the hour tonight, including this.